Good morning, good day, good evening, ladies and gentlemen, depending on where from you're connected in this virtual world. Very happy to welcome you at the session at the Gaidar Forum on topic "What does business expect from a business education?" We hope it will be an interesting exchange of thoughts. Very glad, given the topic, business and education, that on the panel we also have a very interesting mix of business and education. The speakers on the panel will be Mr. Eric Lamarque, who is the Dean of the Sorbonne Graduate Business School, Mr. Mikhail Andronov, who is representing business side, President of Rusenergosbyt. We have as well Mr. Zhou, who is the Dean of the Chinese University of Hong Kong, and virtually through a clip also Mr. McRae Banks from the Bryan School of Business is going to address the audience. Myself, my name is Johan Vanderplaetse. I am chairman of the Association of Russian Business, but my main job, I am president of Schneider Electric in Russia, CIS. So maybe let me start to open a bit, sharing my own thoughts on the topic. What does business expect from business education? And it reminds me, the topic reminded me of a gallup study that took place 2014, some years ago, but still I think relevant, where a large number of business leaders, but also academic officers were inquired. And the results was that only 33% of business leaders agree that graduates have the knowledge that their business needs, while at the same time, 96% of the chief academic officers say that their institution is effective or rather effective at preparing students for business. So there is a gap between what many business people are saying or feeling, as opposed to the perception that seems to be living at the schools itself. And the divide is a huge one. The experience indeed demanded by employers, the outcome of studies desired by students has changed over the last years. And then we can also, of course, ask ourselves the question, how is digitization, which got accelerated through COVID, will further impact the needs from the business side. The basic question has always been the same. What does an employer need? And then we talk about, do we need hard skills? Do we need soft skills? Do we want theory versus practice? Do we want functional expertise versus more general management expertise? The answer is that it is not one element that is more important than the other. It's all about having the right mix. And here we feel that we still see a difference between first degree education, meaning students which do not have any prior work experience, and executive educations, students who got already a prior professional experience. For first degree educations, the schools, indeed, they tend to focus on the first quadrant, the hard skills, the theory, the functional expertise. And I think business thinks it's a good thing. I mean, we have a huge demand in, for instance, what is called STEM education, engineers. But what we do see is that here we are lacking the second quadrant, soft skills, practice, general management, which in a way is logical. We talk about newcomers on the labor market and often soft skills, practice, general management is coming with age, is coming with experience. But in my own company still, knowing how important the other quadrant, the soft skills are, we are trying to address this through our own means, because the quicker a new employee is developing those kind of skills, the more performant, the quicker performant he will become. For instance, each summer we are enrolling over 60 students, graduate students, in our Russian organizations for over 2 months for an internship. They work on a project, they are involved with several kind of departments. It's a win-win for the students. It gives them a first professional experience. But for us as an employer, we also can really observe The students try to understand, are they quick learners? How well do they relate with the other Schneider employees? Can they work in a team? Once you become an employee of Schneider Electric, we continue to help them, developing them in those soft skills via a graduate program, which is a 6-month program where newcomers are rotating over different business units under a mentor shadowing, learning presentation skills, negotiation skills, learning our corporate culture, get exposure, and only then are they moving into their more permanent role. But that's the thing that we do, that at the end of the day, I think soft skills, also the schools could step up. And interesting to observe that in Russia, we are having a number of startups, private startups, educational startups, which are already trying to bridge the gap between the technical graduates and the soft skills that is expected by the employers through short-term education programs, and allowing them also the graduates to become more competitive of the market. An example of a company is in Russia, for instance, is a company called Fine Start. We're working with that company. We're looking positively into that evolution, because those kind of companies are filling a gap that we feel traditional schools are not addressing properly. When I talk about the second quadrant, the hard skills, the theory, the functional expertise, also this is undergoing a change today. Obviously, a classical residential model whereby students are going to a aula every single day, bricks and mortars. That kind of a traditional training or education is being replaced by programs that are blending the classroom, blending online teaching, experimental learning, and on top of that, offer lifelong learning models which are supplementing the undergraduate degree. It's a digital disruption in a way that started in the consumer world, that moved into the business world. It's a digital disruption that is also hitting the educational system, and that is going to have its implications. What I talk about things like virtual learning by using virtual reality headsets, allowing, for instance, if you're teaching a course on supply chain, the student to virtually enter into the factory, enter into the supply chain, follow the logistic chains of getting the equipment to the end user. A number of applications, augmented reality technology, digital twin technology, the use of holograms, perfectly possible that a professor from Harvard is in a hologram represented at a high school of business in Moscow or another place in the world. Customized training models through advanced intelligence is a thing that is going to become more important. And it's no longer the future. It's a reality. It's a reality that started by some schools, but it definitely is something that is already a reality in the business life. When I look at how, for instance, we are training our own customers, it is through enhanced technologies. Good example, in April, we will organize in Moscow our annual innovation forum. This time is going to be a hybrid forum, but indeed we are going to have a very large virtual reality component, allowing our customers to virtually enter into our factories, to look into the equipment, to see the operations through all kinds of 3D simulations. We believe that also schools ought to use those kind of tools when they're preparing the students to enter into the business life, because they will be better prepared immediately to perform. So few doubt that the spread of the technologies of enhanced education will fundamentally change the provision of business education. We can ask ourselves the question, I'm sure it's going to be addressed today, how will this affect the business model of the business schools itself? Is the business school of the future going to be more a facilitator, bringing together a range of teaching content using technology platforms? Provocative question. Will this teaching content know at all still any physical territorial borders? Will we, in short, still have a situation where we're having pure national business schools national content, or will this all be shared freely across borders? We believe in business, we believe it should be, of course, the latter. And we believe that business schools should embrace a stronger and even stronger cooperation with other business schools, with private schools, public schools, with the corporate world as well. And it's happening in that respect. For instance, in Russia, we are working closely together with programs developed by the Antwerp Management School with IBS, EMBA. A lot of my management team, they got a graduate program from that particular school, but we are now also working more and more on modular sessions to make sure that this lifelong enhanced learning is a reality. Lifetime learning through kind of learning bricks is the future. And by the way, when we look and we talk to the late generation Y and today the generation Z, we also see that from their perspective, the willingness from their side to invest themselves a lot of money in a traditional full-time 1.5, 2 year MBA program is going down. They're also looking into different kind of digital learning methods. So yes, indeed, we believe that the traditional model of teaching is under tremendous pressure. And I'm sure this is going to be addressed by the guest speakers. I'm very, very glad that I can pass the word to the first speaker, Mr. Eric Lamarque, Dean of the Sorbonne Graduate Business School, who is also going to talk about things like how better to balance public and private education, what kind of role can they play, how can they amplify each other. Eric, glad to pass the word to you.
Thanks a lot, Johan, for this introduction. First, I would like to thank Ranipa and Sergey at IBS Moscow to have invited me to participate to this panel, and I am very happy to be part of this panel with you and the two other members of this panel. And it is always interesting to speak about all the challenge and all the stakes that we have as the business school level. You have already mentioned one of my points, which is the now the injunction to manage hard skills, soft skills, and if I can add something, just something, soft skills. It's also we ask more adaptability, more flexibility, more capabilities in change management, transformation management. We want also graduates should be able to deal with urgent problems inside organization, such as climatic change, corporate social responsibility, diversity. Wow, really, I don't know if this kind of people are existing today, and I'm not sure, in fact, but is it really possible to have now these people with a good level of hard skills, with a high level of soft skills, and able to deal with this problem. And sometimes, and for me it's the first problem, if business school have to fill the gap with all of this and with what has not been done before at the family level, at the society level, I have more and more the feeling that we face an injunction to teach more and more things, and finally less and less basic hard skills. You say that normally for executive education it should be more soft skills, but me at in my business school at Sorbonne University, I see professionals coming back to the school to learn hard skills also. The second problem for me is what we know now in France. We see that, like in other countries, we see pure profit educational companies, sometimes owned by investment funds. They want to deliver sometimes diplomas, certificates, recognized by the French state. And clearly, I'm not fully comfortable with that, because me, of course, I am from Sorbonne University, and Sorbonne University is a public university, and my business school is a public business school. And I think also that we have to teach, we have to think and ask the question of what we have to teach as public business school, perhaps, considering the offer of business education also coming from for-profit companies. I am member of a French Ministry of Higher Education, actually, and I see that this private business school, of course, respect a pure market logic, and it seems normal for me. In this case, students are buying something. They buy their diploma sometimes, and of course, how to say to somebody who have paid, I don't know, 30,000, 40,000 euros a year, and tell him or her, you have nothing at the end because you have not the level to be graduate. And what I see, it's that in fact, they buy the diploma or they buy the certificate, and graduation in this case is no more based on merit and effort. It is also a question we have to consider, is education a traditional good or not? From my perspective, a key issue is to find, in fact, a good balance between perhaps public and private offer to build what you call this Z generation of graduate in business and management. But I think also all the manager of very different organizations. We are speaking a lot about companies, but we have also to teach and to give, to help people to develop capabilities in non-profit organization, also at the state level. Is not only for company staff and manager of private companies. And in fact, I consider me, but the basic skills has been to teach, has been to be controlled, if I can say, by public institutions. And far from considering education as a simple business. And in this case, my objective and my duty is to deliver diplomas with a real value, funded on the merit and efforts of students and all participants to program. I think this is a major responsibility for the public sector, and students haven't to pay a high price and buy, in fact, the diploma from a certain point of view. My second idea, in fact, is to see, and my contribution here is from public institution, as you say, all along life education. The education don't stop with an MBA at the business school. And I see, and I suppose it's true in other countries, we want to be educated, people want to be educated all along their professional life. And it's necessary if you want to continue to improve your position in the companies, to add new skills or to rediscover old skills, hard skills and soft skills. In fact, I think the field of executive education, perhaps at the beginning, the idea is that they should be developed by more for-profit players, but also as well as universities. And in this case, you are not delivering diplomas, official diplomas recognized by states, but more certificate. Like you have, I am a professor of finance also, and you have, for example, the CFA in finance, which is developed by private business education players. If you look at the offer of LinkedIn Learning, it's not a startup, of course, but it's clear it's a disruptive offer in the process of delivering it to students. And for example, my students in Paris, we add these topics to the core syllabus, and we offer to our students the opportunity to be connected to the platform of LinkedIn and look at some skills, some certificate decided by professor. And I am agree with you, for a certain extent, the role of a professor now is also, not only, is also to become a coach on skills for executive and perhaps finally for all the students. But I continue to think that it's not a good idea to have, for one side, the coach who integrate different sources of knowledge, and from the other side, people who produce this knowledge. I think a professor has to be able to do the two. And to finish my point, I would like, and it's something I think you have just a little mentioned in your introduction. The question is, in fact, do we have to match absolutely all expectations of companies in terms of hard and soft skills? It's perhaps a provocative question, and I understand that for profit institution is yes. The better you match, the better you have customers, students, and you deliver the knowledge and techniques expected by the companies and by the customer, and the customer pay for that. So it's a pure commercial process, but I think it is not the best way for doing change, to introduce change, and in fact doing that, I think that nothing changed. And due to the context, and we know that before the crisis, I think that universities and non-for-profit business schools must take the opportunity to develop other skills, not necessarily clearly expressed by companies. But I think that universities, all universities like Sorbonne and all business schools like us, we have to develop also things like critical thinking, conceptual basis of action and decision, scientific reasoning, experimentation. I'm fully convinced that in our time, if companies want to have graduates able to transform the organization, to find new business model, they have also to let them taking initiative and think, as we say, out of the box. And for me, only the research culture of universities is able to develop that. And I think that we have to develop also for professional, for executive diplomas like executive PhD or now DBA, Doctorate of Business Administration, but I think it's at a lower level. And to conclude, I think for me, the next step for business education, and this could be delivered only by academics, we have really in mind expectation, needs, and problematic of companies. So it's normal to have regular interaction with companies. But my point is to see really on which area I can compete with pure for-profit institutions and find the fields where I'm not also in direct competition with them. Now, MBA and master degrees became basic professional diploma for future basic manager. And I think we try to be able to apply new things. And the true differentiation in the future for me will be to develop new capabilities and the best way for me to the renewal of our societies.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you very much, Eric. I was told that a poll will be taken right now, whereby the audience will have the possibility to vote yes or no. I'm being told that at the bottom of your screen you should see the appropriate bottom. I hope it will work. Let me just ask the question that I'm asked that we have for the poll, and then afterwards, at the end of the session, the results will be communicated. The question is the following: do you believe entrepreneurship can be taught, or is it something that you either have inside of you or you do not have inside of you? So that is the question that is being asked. Again, I understand you should be seeing on the bottom, or you will soon see a voting button. In the meantime, while you're voting, I prefer now to move on. We have limited time with the next keynote speaker, which is Mr. Mikhail Andronov, who is again more from the private side, from the business side, president of Rusenergosbyt. And because of the fact that indeed it's more from the private side, question is more around applied education. Mikhail, how do you see how well is Russian educational system prepared to that? And of course, share as well your other thoughts on the topic. Thank you, Mikhail.
Dear colleagues, I shall be speaking Russian. I know that interpretation is good, and I will focus on the Russian system of education, and hopefully this may be of interest to our international colleagues. Let us start with some simplification. Why should we have business education at all? First, we need it to preserve and to multiply as it goes. And this is something that the Russian system of education does pretty well. So there's the IBDA and RENEPA, and they offer training for business managers. And then they will come for classes for another 2 years or so. However, there is more than that. Business education should teach people to create something new. And we see that progress is accelerating year on year. And many large Russian companies like MTS or Sber are setting up their own business incubators where they grow startup ventures. And this is something that is designed to create something new. Well, there are schools for managers, business managers. However, I don't think we can see many business schools that are designed for people working in applied sciences and applied research. I believe there is a vacant niche, and I suggest you take a look at that. I'm talking about business education for other than business people. Let me expound on that. Russia is renowned for traditional good quality education in natural sciences, biology, and maths too. Some time ago, I graduated from the Math Institute, and I can see the dramatic difference between Western education and our education. Why should we go to study at a school of higher learning just to verify data using an oscillographer dating back to 1960s and making use data sets dating back to 1980s? There is nothing bad about that, because fundamentally nothing has changed here. But what is the major difference between a Russian student and a Harvard student? A Harvard student will not go to a lab to verify their idea just like that. They would go to do that in order to launch a startup venture. So, what's going on there? On the one hand, Russia is a major fundamental system of education. However, after they have received their fundamental education, Russian students will go elsewhere. They will go to pastures greener. They will go abroad just because they see many more opportunities out there. So I believe that we need to change things here. We need to design new programs to train people for the business world, for the business sector. I can anticipate an objection and say there are so many business people who had formal education as physicists or mathematicians or biologists. I believe that business education should offer more opportunities for biologists or physicists so that they are well versed in business laws and business flows and accounting and team management, and they will make use of this new knowledge, and that will augment their fundamental education. I think that if Russia has business schools that offer them new business opportunities, then go to IBS Moscow and become a billionaire at the age of 28. So if you are trained as a mathematician, and if you have some bold or bright ideas, then you should know how to apply your knowledge and your skills to become a bright new entrepreneur. I believe it's a matter of opportunities offered to our students that are brilliant students. I looked up the graduation marks at my school, and I can see that their scores are 98, 100. They're very bright indeed. Let's give them an opportunity of obtaining business education after 3 or 4 years of fundamental schools. I believe that this requires new programs, practical programs for chemists, mathematicians, and biologists. That's all. Thank you.
For a very interesting insight. I can tell you, I mean, I'm sharing your views. We have also, as a next speaker, a pre-recorded address from Mr. McRae Banks. Mr. Banks is the Dean of the Bryan School of Business and Economics. I understand that the technical people will now pull up the clip.
I think that I'd like to take it from a more holistic perspective, because it's not just what we do in business schools. I think that's absolutely critical, but I think it's also critical to understand that if we want our society to become more entrepreneurial and more innovative, then we have to start educating the students when they are in the primary grades and in the secondary grades, and it has to be an ongoing process, and that means that we have to educate the teachers to do that as well, and we have to have support programs along the way. But those same types of things migrate up to the college and the postgraduate level as well, and then into the businesses and other organizations in terms of what they need to do. So there are a couple of things that one needs to make sure that people and even society recognize and accept. And one of those is obvious, that if you want to have more entrepreneurship, there have to be ideas. And probably more ideas. So you've got to have ideas, but there are a lot of ideas out there, and you have to narrow them down. And I think that's one of the things that a lot of people don't understand is that there are many ideas, but that doesn't mean all ideas are the right ideas at the right time. You have to be able to narrow those down in a variety of ways. And so teaching people how to do that is really important. Of course, there has to be investment capital, and we need to educate people about how to create that type of investment capital. It's very different than debt that we would get from a bank if we went in and asked a bank for a loan. The investment capital, people are putting their money into the organization, and it with the understanding that it may not make it, and they may lose that money, or they may make some money, or they may make a lot of money. But having investment capital there is really important. Maybe a better way to say that is the willingness to accept failure. And maybe it's not even failure, it's because you learn something from every failure. So teaching students, teaching business executives, teaching school children about risk tolerance is really important. Business schools probably need to spend more time on. But here's another thing about this. It's not just spending the time on it with the current students. It's also spending time on those things with the current faculty members, and not just the faculty members in business, but also the faculty members in engineering, in science, in public health, in whatever it happens to be, helping them understand these same concepts and same principles.
Thank you for the insights as well. And then we are nicely on time. I think it's an interesting panel because of the fact that we don't only have indeed representatives of business and educational schools, but also from different parts in the world. With Erik, we listened to call it representative from the French educational system. We just now learned some insights from the other side of the Atlantic. But Russia being Russia, which is fantastically located in between the East and the West, I'm very, very looking forward, obviously, Mr. Zhou, to also appreciate the insights. Mr. Zhou being the Dean of the Chinese University of Hong Kong. Glad to pass the word to you.
Thank you. Thank you for inviting me to join GAIDA again. And it's a great opportunity. Well, I mean, business education, indeed, a business school face lots of challenges. And on top of that, we got COVID-19 that disrupt what we do. And indeed, now many of us question what will business education look like, or business school look like after that. And certainly there were a lot of change, and there are positive changes. And one particular thing is it accelerates the digital transformation of many business schools, both in contents, what we do, what we teach our students, and also delivery. How do we deliver our lectures to our audience, to our students? That, of course, would have a huge impact on the future business models. And it also depends on different type of school. We talked about earlier, public school or a private school. And I think I don't say the distinction between public or private school, but rather the school that is integrated in the university system. So it's part of the university system that offer a variety of programs, undergraduate, pre-experiential master program, and then also some MBA program and so on. But that's one type of business school. The other type is that mainly focused on MBA and EMBA education business school, or to some degree also accept education. I think the challenges would be more for the latter type of schools. If you focus on MBA, EMBA only, and then you have more difficulty in order to be successful in the future. I mean, both in what you can deliver, satisfy the immediate needs of the industry. That's one thing. And the second, whether you will have the stable incoming of students. That indeed many schools now have to question that. The traveling restriction and all the other things. But for us, we are fortunate because we are part of the university system, and the majority of our students are undergraduate students or pre-experiential master students. So the opportunities are still there. Universities are still doing reasonably well, and although we have to change our delivery model, but the students, the market is still there. And the disruption that earlier that mentioned probably applied more to the second type of school. But of course, even within the university system, and we also need to seek opportunities. And earlier, many people mentioned about entrepreneurship, education startup. And that's an opportunity that we actually need to explore, because many young people in the old days, their dream is work for some big companies. But now, since the whole world changed, and many of them want to start their own companies. So how do we provide training to these people? And that's actually quite challenging, but lots of opportunity. I mean, we offer these entrepreneur program to students, STEM students, and to teach them how to transfer good idea into products, how to transfer technology into successful business. And so these are the opportunities that we can do. And we do not necessarily teach people to become entrepreneur, but we certainly facilitate if they are willing to, if they have the dream of doing this, and then we can help. So there are lots of things for us to do to teach not only business major students, but students at large. And of course, we can also launch joint program with different faculty, with engineering faculty, with science faculty, with medicine faculty, and so on. So there are quite lots of opportunities. We have to broaden the scope of business education within university system to include more interdisciplinary study, to also try to provide more education to students who majored in other fields. And that actually will allow us to prosper in the future. I think I only have 2 minutes and I leave for the rest of all.
Yeah. Well, thank you very much to all the speakers. It's remarkable. Timing-wise, it's very close to 1:30 p.m. Moscow time. Thanks for the insights. Education will always be the core of the success of any business. Even from the times of Lenin, they said, "Учиться, учиться и еще раз учиться," and it becomes with lifetime education even more relevant than ever before. Be it that the way in which education will be offered to the students, to the employee workforce of the future, is obviously undergoing tremendous changes. I got the results in the meantime of the poll as well, which is the nice way to conclude the session. And I think we can conclude it in that respect on a positive note. I started by saying a discrepancy often in how business is looking towards education as opposed to how education is looking at it. But when we're asking the question, do you believe entrepreneurship can be taught? Reassuring 65% of you people said yes, it can. 16% say no, it cannot. 20% are not sure. So definitely the ones which are not sure, we will have to convince to get to an 85% or even higher majority, because I do believe indeed that entrepreneurship can be taught thanks to the efforts of the educational organizations, and thanks as well to the efforts of the schools which were represented at today's session. It's sharp on time. Stay healthy, stay safe, and I hope in the real world as well to be able to connect soon to all of you. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Okay. Bye-bye.